السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهله وصحبه وسلم. Hello all, here's another episode of Muslim Founders. Today we're joined by Shahrukh Raza. He's the creator of Textify, which recently went semi-viral on Twitter and also built by Muslims. Textify was considered to be a PDF converter for non-English languages. And Shahrukh, we have you on today. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Good to be here.
It's good to see you as well. Before we get started and dive in deep into the project, just tell us a bit about your background. I heard you reside in Chicago. How is it that you came to build these projects, and just a brief overview of yourself?
Yeah, so I used to live in New Jersey. Childhood was over there. Moved to, everybody says Chicago, but you actually mean west suburbs or some other south suburbs. So disclaimer, I don't actually live in downtown Chicago, but yeah, in the west suburbs, if anybody has heard of like Lombard area, we're known for the amount of halal food and stuff. So yeah, I came here, finished most of my high school. I did a nice like 1 year intensive program, Arabic intensive program, which Arabic Islamic studies intensive program. And then I completed my degree in computer science. And then I've been working for the last, I think, almost 3 years now, alhamdulillah. So as a corporate job, but I've always had like a sort of itch to do some sort of side projects here and there. I made one app like literally 12 years ago, I think now. It was like Munajati Maqbool app. So that's like a set of du'as for each day, like Sunday, Monday, and so on. So I made that, threw it on the Play Store. And I never really did that much after. But recently, alhamdulillah, last like 2-3 years, I've been doing like side projects here and there. And a lot of them more or less revolve around Islam and benefiting the ummah, inshallah. But of course, I mean, I'd like to monetize as well, inshallah. But yeah, that's what's going on.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So the Munajat al-Maqbool app, would you consider it just like an adhkar app that you made for like the week, or how would you describe it? That was your introductory project, right?
Essentially, yeah. This was a very introductory project. I had no reference of coding, nothing at all. I'd look at random YouTube tutorials, and then I would copy paste. I think it was Islamic Explorer, Quran Explorer, I think was the main app for Quran.
Oh, on Internet Explorer, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that. That was long.
Yeah. A long time ago. So they had like a dua section, and they had everything. But then I had to like copy paste it one dua by one dua, and then eventually so it's like you press Sunday, you have the duas for Sunday, press Monday, duas for Monday, and so on.
MashaAllah. And then you said the past 3 years you're working on these projects. I think you mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, this specific app, Textify, you've been working on it for 2 years, right?
So I had an initial POC 2 years ago with it was free. I threw it on Streamlit, which is it allows you to create UIs using Python, and like I didn't really think of it that much. I put it on Twitter, and then it blew up. And apparently there was a very big need for this image to text converter for Arabic PDFs. I made it because I had the issue myself. I have been taking part-time classes for the last couple of years as well, Arabic classes. So obviously, I mean, my teachers say that I have hard covers, but
yeah, that's the optimal thing, right?
That is definitely the optimal. But I have PDFs for some of the classes, and then for those, obviously, majority of Arabic books are still in that scanned phase. So I was like, hey, is the technology out there? So I looked into it. There were some things. There's an open source. I think it's open source. At least it's free. It's called Tesseract. It's an OCR model. They have one for Arabic. So I completed it, but it wasn't that good. Like the quality and everything, it wasn't that good. So, and I didn't really market it as well. I was not aware of any sort of like the startup scene or indie hacker scene and all of that. Recently, in the past, I want to say 10 months, I got into it again. And always in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, this thing did blow up. That means there is potential. That means there is interest. I should do it. And then finally, in the last couple months, I've been working on Textify, where the quality is much better. And then inshallah, I'm working on multiple other features that will be useful.
So you said the initial motivation or the need was through yourself. I mean, I think every semi-Islamic or Arabic student, they have to use PDFs. Either I think archive.com is a big one, or there's a notebook. But those are like the big ones. And then because books are kind of expensive, but it's a big need. And I've seen the thing that I saw that it was similar. If you look at especially Arabic books, which I think that use your base. I think they have the Mekteb al-Shamila, right? And then I don't know if they use a tool similar to that, but I was thinking about how the contrast would be between your tool. Does it already exist in the market, and where does your tool fit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the Shamila was a set of books that were, I believe the term is called double typed, where one person typed up the entire book and then another person typed up the entire book and then they double checked it. That was done. That was done a while back. I don't know which exact year, which is, mashallah, it's great work. I know like the scholars, the ulama, they're still using it for a lot of their books. And then a lot of people have benefited through that as well. My tool, Textify, would be a step before that. Essentially, it would do the image to basically what they did, manually typing, it would do it automated. And now, of course, people would still have to post-edit it. Now I'm looking into that as well, like because the image to text is not perfect.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's very hard for it to be perfect, and a lot of the manuscripts are very, very like blurry, and low resolution, and so on. But it automates that step. It does it in a much faster manner, as opposed to somebody typing it slowly, proofreading, and so on. So it's a step before that. And then I know, like, mashallah, there's a lot of great initiatives. Usula AI is another one where they're trying to create that website of Islamic research text and so on. But yeah, so Textify would be a step before that. And then once you have it in a text form, then you can go wherever with it. You can put PDFs, you can do those like chat with PDF options, summarize, explain, and so on.
And yeah, that's a great initiative especially for the ilm community. If we take it deeper, I mean, obviously the books that we have in Islamic literature or in any other language, it's taken, I mean, these are books published in the last 30 years. It's taken from manuscripts, right? And when the scholars or people write with their hands, and then you have people kind of distinguish writing by writing, that kind of requires human intelligence, right? If you're going to talk about going back to the ink, right, that would be pretty tough to put in text, right?
Right. Sorry, what do you mean by that? So,
like, I'm talking about the manuscripts, right? The manuscripts in the library, and which are handwritten.
Yeah, so you're saying to digitize those?
I mean, to recognize that, it would be a much tougher task than because these books are already they're typed up, right?
Right.
And those are handwritten.
So yeah, so the handwritten ones are the main ones that are, in my head, what I see as locked knowledge.
Yeah.
Where people have written it down, and it's valuable knowledge. It's much needed for the ummah. But as long as it's within that PDF, other people can't necessarily access it, such that, let's say that PDF does float around in different group chats, in different links on websites, but the Google can't index it yet. People can't search for it right now, and so on. So there are all of these things that are restrictions because they've been in the handwritten form. And that's what I see, ideally, inshallah, Textify being able to help in that initiative.
Okay, inshallah. And if you take a step sideways and you talk about the technical part of it, if you could dive in deeply how the technical works, because I myself, I'm coming from a non-technical background and just want to make it understandable to those who don't understand the technical aspects of it. How does it actually work? I mean, you just call an API, or you're using an open source model, like you mentioned before?
Yeah. So, alhamdulillah, I mean, one of the other reasons why I'm restarting this project 2 years later is because the technology has reached this step where it is able to access and digitize and extract that text, even if it's at a very bad quality. So yeah, as of right now, I'm using one of the OCRs that are out there. Like there's a lot out there, and I don't know if you've seen like OpenAI's 4.0, the vision.
What does OCR stand for, by the way?
Yeah, so that's optical character recognition.
Okay.
So this whole problem of image to text is all of that falls under OCR, and obviously that's like a general term. It's not restricted to Arabic, but just all languages in general. So right before I started researching more, like restarting this project,
Yeah.
I think it was right around the time that for the vision came out, and in my head I'm like, if we can detect like everything in an image, we should be able to detect different languages now. Like the technology is out there, everything is there. We just need to open it up for the masses.
Inshallah. The guy I just interviewed before you was the person who was working on that. So that's a quite an interesting comparative. When you're talking about Textify in the future, I mean, what are your goals to make it, I mean, in your perspective, monetizable or take it to the next level? How are you seeing the journey play out?
Yeah, so with Textify, what I see the ideal situation is that for all madaris, Islamic institutions, Islamic students, it should be free. So I don't have any like account set up yet, username, password, and anything, but that's on the roadmap. Ideally for them, they should be free. Textify, it covers a lot of other languages. So what I see is ideally the monetization aspect comes from there for different languages. And inshallah, I'm planning a lot of integrations, making it much easier for people to use. If people are on WhatsApp, they want to convert. If they want a WhatsApp bot, I can make that. Telegram bot, all of those things. Chrome extension, I worked on it a little bit. I'll upload that as well. So just getting it out there, getting it to the masses, showing them that like, hey, this is here and the quality is good. Because there's a lot of OCRs out there for Arabic, but the quality hasn't been good. And if the quality is not that good, then like there's no point. It looks cool, it's nice, but people are not going to actually use it. They're not going to come back for different books and so on. So that's one aspect. And then the other aspect, inshallah, what I see is publishers working with them to potentially translate texts, because ChatGPT has gotten much, much better. Now, over here, I'm obviously treading with caution, like using machine translations. Obviously, like, it's not good if you just like throw it out there and then people can just mass translate, and then people might assume that this is the actual translation without any actual post editing. Somebody would have there should be a human review essentially to that aspect. So publishers are obviously the most experienced in that regard. And then of course I'm focusing on Arabic right now, but inshallah the plan is to expand to Urdu, Hindi, Tamil, and so on, different languages.
MashaAllah. And you think like ideal customers could be like academic circles, like universities? That's where you can make some profit in places like that?
Yes. Sorry, so I forgot to mention that publishers and then academic circles were the second aspect. That I'm sure they use scanned PDFs as well. So I've been in contact with some people trying to get like thoughts and stuff. Like, is it useful? What do you guys see? What type of features would you need? So I'm still in that research phase as of right now, to get more data, and then I'll go from there.
And just for the general audience, if a person is interested in this, the best way they can contact you if they want to take part or help or use it would be through your Twitter or LinkedIn or...
Yeah, I think Twitter or LinkedIn is fine. My Twitter handle is SS Raza, RAZA 21. So they can check that out. I've been putting it on my LinkedIn as well, so you can check it out over there. I think it's the same handle, SSRAZA 21.
And when we talk about, I think these apps, you take Textify, your example, or for example, Taftir, which does the Quran AI. And I was talking to my friend yesterday, there's a Kalam app, it's called Kalam for learning Arabic. But these kind of apps, I would say, they're very good for as a bridge, right, between a person who's like getting introduced to Islamic knowledge or ulum. But I think just talking about the advent of AI in general, if you want the raw knowledge, you'll have to hit the books eventually and put that in your head, right?
100%.
And how do you see this aspect of AI and Islamic knowledge between using it for the benefit, but also, like you said, you don't want to make people think this is the translation, right? So how do you see that kind of comparative playing out?
Yeah, it's a great question, and a big question. I think a lot of the scholars, they are very reluctant to use technology and AI and everything, and it's not without reason in my head. Like from what I see, they see that technology can scale out of hand very quickly, and things that you might not intend could happen through technology's uses. So that intersection of tech and AI, of course, I'm going to be biased. I'm a software engineer by trade. My head, a lot of what I do is just within coding and on the computer, for better or worse. I need to play ball more. But what I see is like where we're going, it's inevitable. Like you either keep up with technology, you either use it to your advantage, and of course that has to be moderated, that has to be controlled, that has to be very intentional. But in my what I see is that you need to take advantage of technology, and you go where the masses are, right? You go where people are, what the apps that people are using, people are on TikTok, with moderation. It should be taken into account. It should be used, and so on. So that's what I see. Wallahu alam. I'm not any scholar. I don't know where the actual fiqh rulings and stuff from. I wouldn't want to claim that. These are just my thoughts. But yeah, I think there is a need. I think if the technology is out there, take advantage for the ummah, inshallah.
Yeah, I understand your caution and also excitement at the same time. I heard, I don't know if this is true, that when I think the printing press, the Ottoman Empire was very reluctant to adopt it. Maybe I think 300 years later, because some of the scholars were, I think, against the propagation to some extent, and certain things, they become inevitable. But I think when you're talking about is you just don't want to give the appearance that this is the foundational knowledge. You want to give a resource and then provide a base. I think it provides a really good, AI does a really good job of doing that. Of just being a helping hand, but it's definitely not the end all.
Right. Yeah, agreed. And that's something that I have to kind of grapple with if I'm gonna like mass open it up to the public. Where I'm talking to like couple scholars, local scholars and stuff, but like, okay, if you can translate a text from the past where maybe you actually do need 4 or 5 years of studying, but some random person, he just throws in a PDF and then translates it, and then that's being circulated, and then without the right context, you can't really understand what the author is saying, so it opens up a much larger base, because as of right now, scanned Arabic PDFs without being able to read that text, without having studied Arabic for a couple of years, essentially, you can't really understand those books, for better or worse. So you have the benefit of opening up the knowledge to the masses, but the con is then like there can be more not so beneficial ways of that technology being used, essentially.
I agree. And I also want to note that it's quite important and also joyous to see Muslims being at the forefront of this technology, rather than maybe 20 or 30 years ago where you have Orientalists who might not have the most sincere of intentions. And like you said, technology is inevitable. I think the scholars' job is to guide the community, to tell them how to use it and the mindset. But it's much better if you have, Muslims of your stature and just Muslims being behind the technology rather than, maybe our cousins or Orientalists.
100% agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah. Like when a Muslim is creating these type of technologies, they're taking different things into account, and we come with a completely different worldview from the Orientalist, and the way they think about Islam, the way they think about Deen, it comes from a very research perspective. For us, it's the truth. It is reality. It is our worldview. It is what we know to be true with all of our heart and our mind. So the way naturally that even if that may not be explicit, that feeds into the technology we make, the way we make it, the people that we ask, and so on. So yeah, the point that you mentioned about like the scholars guiding us for how the technology should be used, I think like that's definitely very important. Because with the ability for tech to scale, with the ability for anybody to make it, there's of course there's potential for harm too. And so they should always, and that's what I see, that in my opinion, they should be consulted for different things. And of course, like there will always be naysayers, there will always be people that don't, that are like completely negative about technology. But I think it's very important to consult with them and to ask them for their advice.
I agree, and I think especially with this new advent of Muslim community, especially in the West, America, UK, and European countries, people, Muslims living in the West, I assume you're a second generation.
I'm actually first, technically. I was born in Pakistan,
Oh yeah,
but I moved here when I was like two years old. So.
okay, you're second by culture, meaning it's not by definition, huh?
Yeah.
But I think especially the next generation, I think there's a lot of awareness and there's a lot of good and khair coming, and it's really important that young entrepreneurs, founders, they have the respect towards, as you said, the scholarly community, because we're just the means, and if we take the jurisprudential matters into our own hands, if we don't have the credentials, then it can result into something not so good.
Yeah, agreed. And alhamdulillah, your point on the Muslim tech community growing is definitely agreed. MashaAllah. Honestly, like Tartib, when I looked at Tartib, that was my inspiration to make that initial pre-Textify, the POC concept.
Yeah.
Like mini MVP. When I looked at Tartib, I was like, wow, I'm a software engineer. These guys are software engineers. Like obviously they're within CS. They're doing so much. Like they're giving so much benefit to the ummah. Like what can I do? So like I have different inspirations that I like lean upon. But yeah, Tartib was definitely one big one for me in that regard. Alhamdulillah, it's just growing from now. Kadami that you mentioned too, I had that downloaded. I don't use it like a daily, but here and there, like mashallah, beautifully designed, very intentional. So like these type of things that are popping up, it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking on benefiting the ummah in general, as a young Muslim yourself, you built this platform called Built by Muslims, which you described as a directory of Muslim businesses. Tell us a bit about that, where it started, how's it going, and any future aspirations if there still are.
Yeah, so builtbymuslims.com was an initiative that I thought about right after October, after everything that happened in Palestine, everything that was happening. And then you see the news, you see after a couple of months how quite literally nobody has our back. Nobody has the Muslim community back. And it's up to us to support each other, to uplift each other, and to rebuild, to build the community up essentially at every single level. So the vision for Built by Muslims is much larger than a directory, but I think the first step is to create that directory of Muslim businesses within America. So Textify is taking majority of my time, honestly. I'm not putting as much time in Built by Muslims, but if anybody wants to work on it with me, please hit me up, let me know. But yeah, so the first plan would be to create that directory. And the reasoning behind that would be to create that Muslim circular economy. There's another website out there that they have done a similar thing for the UK. Amazing. UMMAZ.
Yeah, I was just about to tell you that.
Yeah. So they're doing great work, mashallah, and they've been working on it for I think the last couple of years.
You're talking about the UK one or the US one? Because I think they just launched the US one really recently.
Oh, they launched the US one? I didn't know about that.
So the one that you're talking about is the one in UK?
Yes, that one in UK. Is it the same company or like the same group?
So I actually talked to the found. I don't know if he's the direct founder, but he's very involved with it in America. His name is Muhammad Musa. He was in the Bay Area, and they actually just did a soft launch here. They have a Instagram account. It's like growing slowly, but I think they branded themselves as the Yelp for Muslim businesses. And like you said, this Muslim circular economy is not good. It's necessary at this point.
It is necessary. It is necessary, 100%. And we need to. The money that a Muslim makes should go to another Muslim, inshallah. Whether it be for services, whether it be for business, whether it be for any freelancing work, that should be the case. And alhamdulillah, I think in the past couple of months, people have grown more aware towards that. They have been much more cognizant to that. So yeah, that's the plan with Built by Muslims. And then beyond that, inshallah, I'd like to build more on that, essentially. So, for example, I'm in the Chicago community, that west suburb Chicago community. Does somebody need a tutor for math or Quran and stuff? Or is somebody starting up an initiative? Does somebody have an app idea? Do they need a designer, a software engineer to code it up, and so on? So to create that, essentially a platform for supporting the Muslim community in any way, shape, or form. So in my head, what I see as the first step is a Muslim directory, but inshallah, we'll see where it goes from there.
Inshallah, may Allah make it successful. When you're thinking of building this, whether it's a directory or something similar to Yelp, how have you thought about strategically growing it, getting Muslims on board? I've heard of people doing things in the past like Muslim social media platforms, and it hasn't been quite successful. I think the trick is when you're building a marketplace, it's quite hard because have to have both sides, especially the masses, the customers. And how have you thought about solving this problem?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they say the marketplace and social media, those are the hardest ones to set up. And inshallah, like this is a long-term project for me. So it's not something that I want to just set up and then drop off. So in terms of like getting people on it, I think while there's a lot of people on Twitter, the majority of people are within group chats, WhatsApp group chats, setting up the things, accessing community through masajid is nice, and different institutions. So different communities, different people essentially can be done through masajids. For example, maybe I was thinking I can make like workshops and stuff for career workshop and different types of things like that. Basically having events, and then people come in and they're like, hey, what's this about? And then you share the initiative and it's like, okay, cool. Maybe they'll keep track of the link. And then once they need a plumber, they can be like, oh, hey, I remember that website. Maybe I can go check that out, see who's there. So to create that sort of like funnel type of thing where you're accessing the communities, obviously social media is a given. I know that influencer marketing is very popular these days. I've thought about it, never really looked into it too much. But yeah, these type of different strategies, that's what I have in mind. And inshallah, I mean, I plan for it to be a long-term project. So eventually, once the word gets out, I think there is a need to have all of this information curated in one place. Then eventually, when somebody uses it, they'll be like, okay, hey, I'll refer it to somebody else. If somebody's asking for another service, they can refer to Built by Muslims and so on. Another one that I made right now is a small subset within Built by Muslims is halalfoods.builtbymuslims.com, which is basically a map of all the different restaurants, halal food near the user. I added only, I don't know if you guys have it. You're in Cali, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Bay Area, Norca.
Bay Area, yeah. So we have like HMS and Hafsa certified. So these are certification for like meat and stuff. So right now I just added those two. Inshallah, the plan is to add more restaurants as we go by. So yeah, like these sort of like mini tools that can eventually funnel to the larger website. That's what I have in mind in terms of the strategy.
Yeah, I think, by the way, do you know a directory for Muslim influencers by any chance? I was thinking about that the other day.
I don't.
That's a good idea for any of our audience.
Yep.
But I really think these tools. I mean, the halal stuff, the halal foods has been is it's more popular. People have done more work than I think these Yelp kind of businesses. But definitely in the Muslim economy, it's important to know about each other, not just stay in those WhatsApp groups, especially, maybe get off WhatsApp, but another platform. That's another idea. But these things for us to get involved, for us to talk with each other and understand what technologically, how can we technologically help, and how many advancements we can make as an ummah is important for us to contribute to.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. One of my teachers, one of my teachers within my masjid, he said that like you don't have to, not everybody has to be a scholar. Like not everybody needs to put in the 6, 7, 8 years of studying, rigorous study. You can go into a different field, but still think about the ummah. Think about what you're gonna do to support the ummah, what you're gonna do to help the ummah. Because like once you're a software engineer, obviously I know what the latest technologies are out there within the AI. But if somebody's an accountant or a contractor or something like that, they don't know. They don't know anything that's going on. So the same can be applied to another field, essentially to all fields. Like you have to be specialized and you have specialized knowledge to offer. So how can you help the ummah? What can you do for them through your own profession, through your own field? And he's been an inspiration for me 200%. That he's always been like, you guys got to do more. I remember in college he came one time. He's like, yeah, you can come here, you can stay for 4 years, get your degree and get out. But you can also do much more. You can also uplift the community over there, help out with the MSAs, do what you can for events and so on. So like, what are you guys doing essentially? And then you can expand that through beyond college and so on.
Yeah, I think especially if Muslims building businesses, the note that I would like to add is there's gonna be competition within Muslims in the Muslim space, and I don't think that's necessarily bad, right? When you have different alternatives, it's good for business, and it drives competition, and also just in general, it creates a more vibrant ecosystem and atmosphere. The thing that as an ummah we have to be cautious about is fights, right? We have to do it with a good attitude, not an attitude of going against each other. And I think that's a thing that we as Muslims have to watch out for when building in this sphere. Because I'm sure in the software engineer, there's so many Muslim engineers, and engineers by default they're quite they're good in school, they're smart, and they're competitive by nature. And it's important to use that competitively for good, not for betrayal and all those bad stuff.
Yeah, that's I don't have any comments on that. I think it's a tough problem to solve. I don't think I don't know if the problem can be solved. But yeah, I think the drama and all of those things. I'm on Twitter a bit too much, so I see the drama, but
Yeah.
that will always be there. It'll always continue. It's on the onus of each individual to decide if it's worth your time, if it's worth your headspace, if it's worth like your own emotional state and so on. But
Yeah, and that's a lesson. Shahrukh, what other ideas or projects you're thinking about working on in the future, if any?
So I created a small app, myfipai.com, which was essentially, it was, what happened?
It's just very it's interesting.
Yeah, don't worry, it's not as bad as you think. Basically, in the back, there's the book Ascent to Felicity, which is the English
Yeah.
translation of a primer of Hanafi fiqh. So I threw that into, I think, OpenAI's one of their things. Basically, I put the PDF on their website, and then I called the API, set up the API such that if you ask a question, it's gonna create, it's gonna give the answer based on citations from the book itself. So the idea was, okay, I wanted to test out my own. I wanted to make an AI app at that point, and that I didn't know what.
This was a year ago, or
This was around almost a year ago now, probably like 10 months ago. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So it's not. I kind of shut down the API because it was very expensive. Or not very expensive, but it was kind of expensive. So I was like, okay, it's fine. But yeah, so that was like an idea that I had. I put it on Twitter, and it's cool. I got some traction. I think I don't know if there's potential to expand. But yeah, one other idea that I'm working on with another good friend, you probably know him, Fardeem. Have you heard of him? Fardeem Woody.
He's in New York.
Yeah, I think he's in New York. Yeah, he's in New York.
I think I've seen him on Twitter. I don't know him personally.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're considering making some sort of tooling for the scholars and stuff. So that would be like to help them with whatever things that they go through, interactions with the public, for their questions and so on. So that's one idea that we have in mind. I was thinking I enjoy teaching. So one idea that I thought was maybe making like tutorials to show how easy it is now to make apps. I thought one idea that I had is for a Quran app, another Quran app.
Yeah.
But to incorporate AI essentially. So let's say somebody's on a specific page. If they hold down on the page, the AI can get reference. You can put books in the background to get citations and everything, but it can get information for what this page is about. The ayat, the translations are always there. Everybody has the translation, but to get more context about what exactly is happening over there.
So the background would be like the tafasir?
It could be tafsir, yeah. I think that's what I had in mind initially. That like just had tafsir, so then give them a set of ayat, extract the tafsir from there, and then just explain it simply. The tafsir are, some of them are obviously small, but some of them are very long. So have like a conversation maybe with it, be like, hey, what is this about? What was happening at this time? What was happening with the Prophet ﷺ's life at this time? What is the context behind this passage, and so on. So
that's interesting that you brought it up, because I thought I saw a lot of innovation being done in the MENA region. I think there's this, I forgot exactly what the company name is, but they developed a lot of tools relating to Islamic knowledge and the Quran. I think one of them is, they have Turath, they have Al-Bahith Al-Qur'ani. These are all Arabic, and a lot of stuff relating to Islamic mutun and knowledge in general, and they made it really accessible. The Turath is the one that I use the most. It basically made it a really user-friendly, and they took it from the Shamila. And the Bahith Qur'ani, I've seen a lot of people use it, where you can just enter an ayah, and then it has all the tafsirs relating to it, and you just click on one. And but it's all in Arabic, and I think they've set the standard in Islamic ulum with technology.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think it starts with N. They're larger.
Yeah, I think it's like in Naqa or something. I forgot.
Yeah, something like that. Not sure exactly, but yeah, tafsir.app, right? Like all of those basically.
Yeah, it's from Saudi, or do you know where?
I'm not sure who's behind it, but yeah, mashallah, they've done great work. I wish my Arabic was better for me to actually take advantage of them.
But, you can use the Kalam app for that, huh?
Yeah, true. Right out.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, you're doing some good stuff, Shahrukh. It was a pleasure having you on. Inshallah, we'll stay updated with your future projects, future updates, and inshallah, would love to have you out in the future.
Inshallah, jazakallah khair for having me. And mashallah, I mean, this is a great initiative. A lot of my inspiration comes from listening to podcasts. So if you set this up, inshallah, why not? People can definitely be inspired by listening to the stories and creating their own things. Inshallah.
Inshallah, that's the goal. Jazakumullah khairan, Shahrukh.
Wa iyyakum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.